Hello, today I will show you the threading on the Janome CPX 2000 cover stitch that I presented to you earlier in an unpacking video. So I'm very glad to show you that now. And as you can see, it has 4 spools. So first, as soon as we proceed to threading, we must raise the presser foot to release tension and then turn the wheel of the machine so that the needles are in the higher position. Then we will start by pulling the thread of each spool, as I'm doing, and hook it into the holes of the thread guide bar. Of course, I raise the bar first. There is the looper thread to the right, and the 3 other spools on the left are used for the needles. If using one single needle, then we will make a small chain stitch, and if using 2 or 3 hands, it will make a recovery point, a point to hem. We choose to keep the needle left, center or right, depending on the width of the point of the stitch that is desired. Threading the looper is the most complicated of the 4 threading, but it's fairly simple to make, and there is only one looper to thread, so it's manageable. Okay, so first, the first step in each spool consists of sliding the thread under the metal bar thread guide plate in front of each spool. So for this we must hold the thread on each side of the plate, then slide the thread under the plate, and when you hear a little click noise, the thread will be retained and cannot go out. This is what we want. So to check, you can try to remove the thread from the plate to see if it goes out. If it goes out, the thread is not well slid. Okay, so here it's well thread. Okay, so then we need to pass the thread through the tension wheel, and we must proceed in the same way. Hold the thread from each side of the tension wheel. Now we'll start by threading the looper, and I open the front of the machine and pull down the thread until the metallic notch down, and although pull the thread towards the inside of the machine until the small metal bar does a click sound and well retains the thread. And to make sure the thread is well inserted, I can try to pull the thread towards me, and if it does not come out of the notch, that means that it is well positioned. Then we can turn the wheel of the machine to put the needle in the high position, if we haven't done it before, which also has the effect of aligning the 3 metal bars, and that's what we want now to follow the threading of the looper. When these 3 bars are aligned, we must pass the thread through the hole at the end of the 3 bars. So we are going to do it now. And once that is done, we will slip the thread behind the looper thread guide from the right. And it can be facilitated by the using of the tweezers. And the advantage of this machine is that threading is done vertically and not horizontally, as many cover stitch machines, so it is more ergonomic. Now, to follow, we will be able to facilitate threading by releasing the looper. To do this, pull the gray button towards you. Okay, first I can thread the bottom of the looper. And now I will pull the gray button, and so the looper will slant to the right for easy access, and I will move my thread into the hole at the top, at the right end of the looper, always with the help of the tweezers. And then we will pass the thread into the hole on the left hand towards the rear of the machine. Here. And that's it. We are done with the looper threading. We can then put the looper to its original position by pressing left on the looper. Like this. We will deal now the threading of the needles, and in fact I will leave the cover open. We do not need really for the to thread the needles, but it's there is an illustration with colors of how to put each needles if you want to see. So we start with the left needle. So you'll understand later why I start with the left needle and not with the right or middle needle. And so I take the thread of the left spool and proceed as we did previously. I slide the thread under the metal thread guide plate until the click sound. Then pull the thread to pass it through the wheel tension of the left needle. Then I stuck it in the next notch, located below the tension wheel to prevent the thread from slipping out. Then I take my thread and stuck it into the next notch on the left, located just before the large vertical metal plate. Once the thread passed through the notch, I proceed like threading a needle on the sewing machine. I spin the thread around the vertical metal bar back, down and left. You just have to follow the arrow down drawn around the vertical plate. Then pass the thread in the following horizontal bar from right to left. Then since it is the threading of the left needle, I spin my thread on the left. For the other needles, I will follow the same procedure except at this point, and we will put the thread by the right side. So each needle thread will be separated by 3 metal bumps. It is for this reason that we have to proceed in a certain order to thread the needles. The needle left, then the middle, then the right needle. Then I pass the thread from the right into horizontal metal guide that follows, and then put on the thread in the eye of the left needle, and we will be done with the threading of the left needle. Using the tweezer is simply also. Yes, that's it. So I can then proceed in the same manner to the central needle and finally to the right needle. So for the central needle now, I pull the thread from the second spool from the left side, slip it under the metal plate on the machine, and then pull it through the tension dial stuck in the notch below, and take my thread to the left to wedge it in the notch located just before the vertical metal bar. I spin the thread around the vertical metal bar, back, down and left, then span my thread in the horizontal bar by right, and now here I then passed from the right into the next horizontal guide. My central needle thread is thus separated by a bump on each side to be separate from the thread of the left needle and right needle. I span my thread again from the right into the next horizontal guide and can then slide the thread into the eye of the central needle. And then the second needle is threaded. Okay, for the right needle, I take my thread to slide it under the metal bar, the metal plate, and then I take my thread to pull it through the tension dial, stuck it into the notch below, then take my thread to the left to wedge it in the notch just before the vertical metal bar. I go around the vertical metal bar by the top to the left side, then span my thread in the horizontal bar on the right, and as for the central needle, I then pass from the right into the next horizontal guide. My right needle thread is separated by a metal bump on the left to separate it from the thread of the central needle. Then I pull the thread from the right into the next horizontal guide, and I can then pull the thread through the eye of the right needle. And the last needle will be threaded, and the thread will be separated from the two others. So everything is in place now, and the threading is finished. So I will do a cover stitch test to show you, and we can close the lid since we don't need to have it open to sew. So let's start with some jeans, for example. So the cover stitch is mainly used to do hems, so I fold my fabric like that, and you can even iron the edge to mark the fold, and hold the fold using clips or pins, and put the front side of the fabrics on top and the back side, folded side, on the underside. In order to know where the fold is, you can draw a line on the front side of the fabric. Other people put a piece of colored tape on the machine on the right of the needle plate as a guide mark of the edge of the fabric. There, as it is a test, I have not ironed my fabric and not made a particular mark or line. The tension thread is adjusted automatically on this machine, so you can go from one kind of fabric to another without having to adjust it. And that's what you will see in a few minutes with this test. And this is the advantage of the CPX 2000 over the CPX 1000. However, if you really need to adjust the tension, it is possible to do it. Nevertheless, the tension dial have to be settled in general on position 4 for the 3 needles and on position 3 for the looper. That I will lower the pressure foot, and here we go. I will slide my second piece of fabric, which is a thin cotton. Like this. And a third piece in jersey, extensible fabric. It is not a very noisy machine. If it's noisy for you, it's probably because the camera is very close to the machine. Okay, we are done now with the test. So I will cut the thread, and let's see the result now. So for the jeans, just pull the threads. Okay, for the jeans, so we have 3 stitches, and sewing with 3 needles, or 3 needles, 3 threads. It's very decorative, nice and steady, and on the back too it's very nice and regular. You can see it's quite nice. And for the cotton fabric now, it is in fact similar. The result is very nice and steady, and even on the back of the fabric too, as you can see. And for the third fabric, the jersey fabric, it is similar and pretty too on both sides of the fabric. And we never needed to adjust the tension between each kind of fabric. And while we went from a jean fabric, thin cotton, and stretchable fabric. So I thank you for listening to me, for watching this video, and feel free to subscribe to my channel and put a little blue thumb on my video. And I thank you, and you will see a very happy seamstress. Bye bye, thank you.